You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, and here from Drakewing Gaming, and Study Mounts Wood the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Solstice Eve. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm chain, we're up, and let's go. Alright. Darwin begins by slicing the venison into strips and turning the heat to the stove on the stovetop. There's a satisfying sizzle as he places each strip onto a pan and lets it cook just enough to bring out the juices. I almost want to pluck one off of the pan and toss it into my mouth. Meanwhile, I slice up some onions, potatoes, and mushrooms. It's nothing too complicated, but the repeated dull thuds of my knife hitting the board provide a sense of soothing comfort. After having to cook for myself for so long, I find it easy to get lost in the process. For as long as I'm focused on the ingredients in front of me, things feel so much simpler. I quickly run out of vegetables to slice, and at a loss for what to do next, I decide to silently watch from the sides as Darwin continues cooking the meat. When the meat is done, Darwin transfers it to the pot of leftovers and starts heating it up as well. Part of me feels as though it'd be better to eat the meat separate. Those slices look very good. Cantor, start stirring the pot. Sure thing, Captain. He then salutes the onions. He then sautés the onions in the pan, apparently to let the juices from the meat soak into it or something, just like Julia used to do, followed by the rest of the vegetables. When that's done, he places the vegetables in the pot as well, and adds some more liquid as well. Just gotta add some of these in, let it cook for about half an hour, and we're done. We let the stew simmer and wait. Oh, let me bring out some of the ale I've got in reserve. It should make the wait pass faster. Can't say no to booze. I must admit that the smell of Dovson is quite enticing. Though we start out with basic small talk about this and that, Darwin broaches the obvious topic after a certain point. Say, do you want to catch me up on what you talked about with Shell's lover? It's totally fine if you don't want to. I don't want to ruin the mood again, and we're going to be catching up on it later anyways. Nah, best to get out of the way now. Letting it hang over dinner would just ruin the mood. Well, it seems like he wasn't particularly involved in the matter, but it does seem like Shell was looking into something troubling. Concerns about corruption in the guild and the mines, the stone shears and whatnot. Is that a thing? I've heard bad rumors about the stone shears for quite a long time, but nothing about the guild being involved. I'm not involved with many mages, though. Well, the guild's got a close relationship to the stone shears and the mines, that's for sure. We allocate quite a bit of our budget on magical tools that assist with upkeep for the mines and whatever else they might desire. It might seem odd, but with how the Keystone Boom revitalized the guild, it makes sense. Keystone Booms. Surges of magical energy that course throughout the world, spawning keystone veins throughout various hotspots. It just so happens that the ancient dwarven mines located in the Silt District were situated on one such hotspot. 30 years ago, a particularly large one occurred, bringing immigrants and travelers from all over the world toward Eisenberg and the Guild. My coming to Eisenberg was decided due to it as well. Far as I know, they're hinging their hopes on another one occurring, and one of them being able to buy the keystones for a better rate when that happens. That being said, there's no way to tell when one will occur, how large it will be. Going off of past booms, one ought to have happened already, with one occurring roughly every quarter century or so. Huh, well, it wouldn't hurt if another one happened. Back then, Julia had no issue finding clients to sue for with all the mages that came and went. Of course, that period came with an increase in crime and other such unsavory business, but still, it certainly wouldn't do harm for the city to have some more life breathed into it, especially the Silt District. You think so? It's always been It's always been a pretty dubious place. I shrug. I manage, and it was quite a bit more fun back then. The dubious nature of it all scared me at first, but I got used to navigating it. Ha! That's a good attitude. Unfortunately, on my end, I wasn't able to do too much so far. I mostly just got in touch with the guards who were responsible for the investigation at the time, though they kinda just blew me off. And maybe I ought to be more pushy. Hell, even just managing to get in touch with them is appreciated. Don't worry, it's nothing. Besides, this whole stone shear situation has given me a new angle with which to approach the investigation. Despite his confidence, I can't help but think the enormity of the investigation ahead of us. Of course, the guards would have no interest in revisiting it, if it's up for us. It's up to us to do it. Regardless, the fact that Darwin's here to help is incredible already. Now that we've got a lead, I'm sure that we'll crack this whole case wide open soon enough. Hopefully. Well, that aside, Dovson time! It should be about done. We set the table up and get to eating. Oh, that looks nice. Dovson... I like how it looks like a tapestry. That's really well done. The Doveson doesn't look too enticing, but Darwin seems to enjoy it as he eats a spoonful. Ah, that's good stuff. He takes a slice of bread from the table before dipping into the Doveson, plucking a slice of venison from it and eating them both at once. Seems like Darwin really enjoys it. You should try eating it like this as well. It's really good. Still got a bit left to go before I reach the height of Julia's recipe, but I'm close. Yeah? Mm-hmm. She didn't leave behind a recipe or anything, so I've been going off of memory alone. Huh, so I should consider myself lucky to be trying it now and not earlier? Huh, well... I wish I could say otherwise, but yeah. Maybe if I'd been paid more attention to her cooking before she left us. Instead, I had to start from practically nothing. I have to wonder how many attempts he's gone through before reaching this point. It helps that Doveson is easy to make, at least. Well, true, sounds like it's just tossing a bunch of stuff into a pot and hoping for the best. Yep, can't go wrong with that. So, try it. I promise it's good, otherwise it's gonna go cold, and I'm sure you won't like it then. Somewhat reluctantly, I try a spoonful of the stuff. It's warm and certainly packed full of flavor. Rather than venison, though, I feel a stronger beef flavor, probably due to beef having been used in the past iterations. That being said, I feel as though these same ingredients could be combined into a different, more appetizing dish were they handled by someone with more experience. I'm not sure why Darwin cooked the venison to perfection if he simply let it sog in the Doveson afterwards. Overall, I like it though. What, is this not like the stew from back home? Eh? No, it's good, really. I can tell that you've been spending a long time on this recipe. If Julia was even better than this, I'm sure it was quite incredible. It sure was. I'm not really used to stews, though. Darwin raises a brow. Eh? Bullshit. Really? We didn't have them back in Antalis. And the food I ate here is either stuff I make or higher class stuff than stew. Higher class? And like formal guild events and whatnot, they don't serve stew there. Stew doesn't have a class, it's stew. Besides, don't you frequent the Silt District? That's not particularly high class. Yeah, well, I go there to eat cock, and that doesn't really count as stew, now does it? So you've never had stew before this? No, I've eaten stews every once in a while. I'm just not used to it. What did Antalis even have if not stew? Everyone has stew. It's not the simplest type of meal. Other meals. Fish sautéed with herbs, lamb kebabs, groats. Oh god. Curb Your Enthusiasm. Groat syndrome. I don't know what most of those words mean, and I never got the appeal of fish. That's because you've only eaten bad fish. You need saltwater fish from the ocean. They've got actual flavor. Well, that's not happening soon, well, given we're on a mountain. Your loss. Where even is the nearest ocean? To the east in Strothfell. Strothfell. What do they have there? That's where the orcs live, I'm pretty sure. Other than that, I'm not particularly knowledgeable. Darwin stares at me with wide eyes. By the stars, something you don't know. What kind of person do you take me for? A smart one. Oh my, I'm flattered. Unfortunately, I only really know stuff about magic and Antalis. Which means that the only thing I know about Strothfell, and orcs for that matter, is that they're not particularly versed in magic there, and that they make good booze. Well, you got that right, at least. I don't suppose you'd say that even the Antalan booze is better, though. Nah, it's horrendous. They've got something going with their wine, and the Dragon Breath Special is a fun cocktail, but the booze is utterly tasteless. Blah, don't remind me of the Dragon Breath Special. Why not? That whole situation was quite amusing. For you, that is. Well, I did clean your clothes for free afterwards. True. Do you think you could do the same for the rest of my house? Maybe another time. Well, it's not the type of drink humans would like, so I do get it. Thankfully, Ella is a dragonkin, so she does get it. Nothing like rancid cocktails to remind you of home, eh? Huh, what do you mean home? You know, home. Your origin, Antalis, where all the other dragonkin are and everyone can drink their rancid cocktails in harmony without throwing up fire all over the place. Well, not really. Oh? What do you mean? I don't know if I'd call Antalis home. Something about it doesn't sit right. Eisenberg, then? Nah, it's been 30 years since I came here, but not really. Do you not like it here? Well, it's cold, it hurts to breathe in the mountain air, your cultural customs are odd, the food isn't as good as in Antalis, and I haven't seen the sun setting over the sea in far too long. But the people are better, at least, and I get to do whatever I want with other men without fear of judgment. So, it's complicated. Darwin hems and haws. Has shell dying affected your view of things? Like, I know you weren't all that close, but I imagine her suddenly being gone has changed how things feel at home, if that makes sense. I suppose. Things feel eerily silent now. I get that. For me, it was like, Julie's gone, I know that. But it's hard to stop thinking about her, about what isn't here anymore. There not being food ready when I get back home, not hearing her humming as she knits by the fireplace. I even started missing the heated rants she'd go on about various irrelevant things. There's so much that I've taken for granted. So even if she's gone, I can't stop noticing her. It's like I'm living with a ghost. I think I get that. Probably not to the same extent, I don't know. But I feel, even if I can't say for sure that I miss it, my relationship with Shell wasn't like yours and Julia's. I'm not too attached to anything about it really, or to my house in Eisenberg for that matter. All of it, it just is, or was, and now it's different. Darwin hems and haws over my answer. I wonder if he thinks less of me now. Is anything stopping you from returning to Antalis then? I don't know. I can't really imagine doing it. That and going back would involve having to deal with my brothers and sisters again, or my family as a whole. It would be shameful. Shameful? I'm an asset, so to speak. An investment of my family and Antalis as a whole. I'm their connection to Eisenberg and the Guild. At the time of the last Keystone boom, I helped solicit trade between the Guild and its Antalan counterpart. Keystones are a rare luxury, after all. Should there be another one, my presence will be needed again. I visited about a decade ago for diplomatic reasons. Memories of stern talks from authority figures, condescending looks from my family, and overwhelming solitude flood back into me. Feelings of futility and incompetence. I didn't even fare all that well in the heat. It didn't go all that well. Why do you need to be the one to do so? Because I'm situated here, of course. Like I said, I'm an investment. If I were to squander it all, it'd bring shame not only to me, but to my family. Were they such a good family that you'd go this far for them? I'm not suffering, Darwin. Antalis isn't the right fit for me either. The heat there's likely to make me suffer as much as the cold here, and the people are so stuck up that I'm sure they'll mock me for how my grasp on the language has faded over the years, or for my uneven brushstrokes. I get to do what I want here, and the people are better. So I think there's just nowhere. But for now, at least I don't have to bother with tail etiquette. Tail etiquette? I relish in the opportunity to change topics. Well, you know, don't show the underside of your tail to others. Never let anyone step on it. Keep its end curled so that you don't accidentally point it at anyone. But also, that's a sign of submission, so you've got to keep it perfectly straight whenever you have to appear like the bigger man. Alongside many other unreasonable rules that I don't want to bore you with. Should have seen the horror on my mother's face last time I came back to visit Antalis and used it to pick up a falling cub. She barely remembered my name, but she sure as hell remembers the tail etiquette. Wow. Sounds awful. You can say that again. Don't worry too much about me, though. Like I said, I like it here. Silence lasts for a bit longer. By this point, we both finished our shares of the Doveson. I even asked for a second share of the meal, having grown to like it more than I anticipated. Say, what's the weirdest rule in tail etiquette? Where'd that come from? I'm curious. I like hearing this stuff. It sounds exactly like the sort of stuck-up aristocratic nonsense that's endlessly fun to laugh about. Aristocratic? Are you not? Why else would you be in an arranged marriage? Well, no. The Yagan family is quite well off, but we're not aristocratic. Antalis doesn't even have a royal family. You don't? The closest thing to a government we have is the coalition of guilds. How does that work? Do you really want me to bore you with the details? No, I want to hear more about tail etiquette. Well, you sure sound eager. Because it's stupid and entertaining. Hey, at the end of the day, there's a reason for all this, yeah? Silly as it might seem from the outside. It does make sense when you're embroiled in the culture. I suppose so. It's just an extension of the ordinary aristocratic bullshit that you see here as well. I'm sure if humans had tails, you'd have rules regarding them as well. Ha! I wish humans had tails. Really? It seems convenient. It makes sleeping uncomfortable. Many chairs aren't even built with them in mind, so you can't sit comfortably either. That wouldn't be a problem if everyone had one. Besides, you don't have a tail when you transform. But it's tiny. It barely counts. Alright, y'all, I'm actually gonna pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm gonna have a quick shout out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank y'all for all I do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade Silver, and thank you above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks to our 3 gold tier patrons, Zeke, Toby, and Blue Wolf Alpha. Y'all are awesome. We love you. Thank you for subbing to Ultimate Tier. Anyway, if you want to get your names in the credits, get access to all of our not safe for work contents as little as $5. If y'all don't want to donate to the Patreon, you can donate using Super Thanks on YouTube. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye!